how to achieve financial freedom faster than everyone else. So we're often taught to think like an employee, right? We're taught to think that we have to work to make money. We have to work 40 years. We have to work tirelessly, right? We have to work overtime. We have to aim for a raise, aim for a promotion, and that's the only way, right? Like the only way to get ahead is to work hard in your job, right? Sacrifice, and eventually one day you'll be rich and you'll have the life that you want, right? But unfortunately, that paradigm and that model that a lot of people are living by and the model that we're taught is starting to fade out. And a lot of people are starting to realize that there's a myriad of different ways to attain financial freedom at a way faster rate and at a way quicker speed than your average person who retires at 60 or even in your 50s. That's still old, right? 40s is better, but 50s, 60s, like your life's pretty much already on the decline, right? You're already kind of headed down, right? I think peak years is 30 to 50, right? I think peak years for especially men is 30 to 50. Like, don't you want to be free during those years, right? And obviously beyond, but don't you want to enjoy the peak years of your life, right? So if you don't want to suffer anymore, if you don't want to, have to just keep working and hoping for the best, hoping that your job gives you what you want, then stick around, because I'm going to dive deep into what you can do right now practically to start to move the ball forward at a way faster rate. So number one, you have to start thinking like an entrepreneur. You have to start thinking like a business owner. You have to start thinking in systems. You have to start looking at how you can make more money with less time, right? So, because the issue with a paycheck, the issue with a job is that you get that hourly rate, right? You get that hourly 17 an hour or 18 an hour or 20 an hour, 21 an hour, right? But no matter what you do, no matter how busy you are at your job or how much you work, right? That money you make, it's not going to change. You could be more productive 1 hour than another and still make the same amount of money, right? But business owners, right? Or people who are self-employed look at it like, how can I, give my services and give my value, right? And give more and be paid in proportion to the amount of value I give, right? Because like I said, like you can work super hard, right, for an hour, make the same amount of money, and then the next hour, maybe you're not as busy or you don't have a lot of work to do, and you're not offering that much value in that second hour, but you're still going to make the same amount of money. So you have to start to shift your mindset into, how can I give more value, right? How can I give more value? And again, this only works for people who are ambitious, right? If you're lazy, if you're just want things to come easily, or you just don't want to have to make sacrifices and do things that are uncomfortable, then this video probably isn't for you. But everyone has to start out with understanding that it's going to take work outside of your standard employment 40 hours, right? It will take extra effort to be able to start to make things happen, right? So the problem is that 40, if you work, right, let's say, because most people want a promotion, right? Let's face it, everyone wants to get promoted, right? And you got to think about it this way, right? Let's say, for example, you make $50,000 a year right now, right? You make $50,000 a year, you're living pretty much paycheck to paycheck, or you're barely able to save any money each month. If you're hoping that a $20,000 increase, right, is going to give you what you need to become rich, right? Because that's what everyone wants. Everyone's chasing more money, right? That's what everyone wants, is more money. But you have to look at it like, okay, how much money is going to actually, how much does my chasing for money actually impact my financial freedom goal, right? Because look at it this way, right? Most people wait, right? They just sacrifice those 40 hours, and they think that there's nothing else they can do outside of their job, and then hope that in a couple of years, they'll get a pay raise or they'll get a promotion, right? But look at it this way, right? If you make $50,000 a year, right, in the current position, and you get a promotion, and now you're making 70, right? That $20,000, right? How much is that extra a month? That's what, 1,000, or that's like what, 1,500 extra a month? You could do that right now. You could make more than that right now. So I'm not saying don't get promoted. I'm not saying don't aim for more or don't be open to more, of course. But what I'm trying to say is that don't think that that's the only way to get to the goal faster, right? Like, you could literally make an extra $2,000 a month doing side jobs, right? You could do side jobs, you could day trade, you can do all of the things that I talk about here on this channel. So while you're waiting, you know, if you want to get promoted or you want to keep growing, that's totally fine, right? I'm not saying don't get promoted or, you know, to shun employment, right? Obviously it has its drawbacks, but the point is that you want to look at it like, how can I increase the amount that I make on a weekly basis right now, right? And this is where, you know, I kind of go back on conventional wisdom, right? Because everyone says be patient, it takes time, and that is true, right? But you have to also realize that we're gonna die, right? So you sitting here waiting around, hoping for a promotion, or just waiting, hoping that, you know, a $20,000 increase, right, is gonna somehow affect you positively, which it will. I'm not saying it won't, but thinking that that's the only way and that there's no other things you can do, right, is putting yourself in the passenger seat. You want to be in the driver's seat, especially when it comes to your finances. You want to be the main person dealing with your money, managing your money, and creating systems that help you make more money at a better rate. So again, not shunning working a 9 to 5 or modern employment, but, you know, if you're able, let's say, right, like you want that $70,000 a year, you could make that right now. Now, obviously, you'd have to work a little bit more, right? But think of it this way, right? If you worked right now, right? If you worked an extra 20 hours a week, maybe you learned how to day trade. Let's say, look at it this way, right? Because we're using that $2,000 a month metric. If you're able to make an extra $500 a week with, let's say you're able to do it with day trading and a side job, whether that's waiting tables, whether that's Uber Eats, food delivery, whatever, you made your extra 2,000 right there. It just, all it took was an extra 20 hours a week. Do you have an extra 20 hours a week, right, to sacrifice, to put down the vices, to say no to certain things that you're used to doing, to really accelerate your financial progress, right? And it comes down to you, right? Like, it's not about you being lazy. We're all lazy. That's why we want to make things happen sooner. That's why we want to make things happen with less effort. But you have to realize that, you know, in the beginning, sometimes you have to work harder. Sometimes you have to do things that are uncomfortable, and sometimes that have a risk, right? Day trading has a risk, right? Obviously, the more you learn, right, like, it gets easier as you go, the more experience you have and the more knowledge you accumulate and the better you get at it. But the fact remains is that it's going to take extra effort outside of your job to be able to acquire the status of freedom a lot quicker and a lot sooner than everyone else, right? Because like I said, everyone else is doing what you think is going to be the way, right? Everyone else is working hard for the promotion. What happens if you don't get the promotion? What happens if you wait 2 or 3 years, right, and the company goes bankrupt, or they lay you off, right, or they don't make as much money, right? Now your hopes of getting that $70,000 a year position was tarnished, right? And again, I have a mindset of hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right? You want to put yourself in a position right now to set yourself up for success, regardless of what happens in your current job, right? That's the best. That's kind of like the big picture message I'm really, you know, getting at here is put yourself in the driver's seat. You are a conscious creator. You are a conscious contributor to the value that humanity can acquire and use to better their lives, right? So whatever form of service you give to other people, whether it's side jobs, whether it's your own business, whether it's working for someone else's business, work on acquiring skills, right? You can learn copywriting, you can learn coding, you can learn digital marketing, like, you know, again, and it's not, these things aren't for everyone. I don't do these, right? I do a couple things, but I'm not saying that I do all of these things, but the overall premise and the overall picture is the same. Learn to develop yourself outside of your job. Keep the job, right? I'm not saying quit the job, keep the job, but as you go, right, as you make more money, if you want, you'll be able to ditch the job, right? Hey, the job is pissing you off, or you're sick and tired of doing the same thing over and over again, and you're making enough money from your side incomes, from your you know, other streams of income, or you're earning more now from your passives. You can go, you can bounce, right? So I want you guys to be in a position to be able to do that if that's what you please, right? I don't want you guys to be stuck. The worst thing in life, guys, is being in situations that you can't get out of, right? Being in relationships are different, but especially employment, right? Because oftentimes our choices when it comes to everything are decided by money, right? Like where you live, how often you can travel, how often you can take time off, how often you can spend with people you like. All of that is predicated on what you earn, right? And how you earn as well. So I don't want you guys to be, confined to a job and a position of employment that sucks, right? Like, start when you get home, right? You got to open up your laptop, start doing research, start researching day trading, right? Pick up another job, right? Get in the fast lane of financial freedom, right? Start learning how to buy cryptocurrency, start learning how to dollar cost average, right? When you do this over time, right, 5-10 years, you'll be able to leave, right? But a lot of people think that, oh, I'll be able to leave in a few years once I've saved enough money. No, you have to figure out how you can earn. The confidence you'll have and the optimism you'll have to be able to transition into your own way of living, whether that's an entrepreneur or whether that's just a freelancer or a digital nomad or living abroad, whatever it is going to be your ability to generate income without a 40-hour job, 40-hour a week form of employment, right? And there's many ways to do that, right? You just have to ask yourself this question, right? Because we're all different. How can I serve people? How can I bring value to people, right? Maybe it's through speaking, maybe it's through inspiring people, maybe it's through coding, maybe it's through copywriting, right? Now, day trading, you actually don't have to deliver any value, right? You can just, learn how to study the markets and know when to buy in and things like that, right? But the point remains is that there is a faster way to acquire the financial freedom that you desire, and you can attain it a lot sooner than most people, right? Most people are unfortunately speaking, right? The old way that we navigate our monetary lives through, again, pensions and 401ks and 40-hour work weeks and 40-year retirement plans and all, and social security and all this shit, that shit's going out the fucking window, right? That shit is dying off. I don't think a lot of people are applying for jobs that much anymore, at least people who are at least privy to what's going on and how life can be lived better, right? So don't get left behind. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you're safe with your 401k, with your social security, your pension, or whatever form of savings you have, and all of the bullshit lies that we're taught that's supposed to give us a sense of security and a sense of comfort and a sense that we're on the right path, right? The saving money and the retirement plans, it's not that they're bad, it's that's the only thing that's being taught. And what when you look at saving money, right, on a side note, saving money is the absolute worst thing you can do, right? Because saving money, what do we save for? Saving most, I would argue 80% of people that save money, after a certain amount, like let's say you got your 3 to 6 months, what are you saving for after that, right? What are you saving for, right? You're gonna die. You have to figure out how you can put that money to work for you. You have to figure out how to put that money into things that can help educate you, to start to learn, to start to think in systems, right? So I want you guys to be in the driver's seat. I want you guys to be inspired to after work, I know sometimes we're tired, sometimes we're pissed off, but I want you guys to be in the driver's seat and be willing to do things that are uncomfortable, be able to learn things that may be difficult at first, to be able to eventually transition, right? That will be the best feeling. The best feeling will be when you're able to finally say, fuck this, I'm out, right? I'm not doing this shit. Or maybe you're able to transition into a job, like security guard. Like, that's an easy fucking job, right? You could literally make what, 25, 30,000 a year just sitting there. And guess what? You can work on your business, or you can work on whatever you want to work on, right? So I don't want you guys to be binded into these high paying jobs that suck the life force out of you, that suck the creativity out of you, that suck the inspiration and the drive for more out of you, because you see a big weekly check, right? That's the worst form of a trap. That's the worst form of comfort, right? So yeah, if you guys, what are you doing right now? Comment down below what you're doing right now to move forward, right? Comment down below what you're investing in, right? I want to hear from you guys. I want to see the practical things that you guys are doing to start to move towards that, right? I don't make these videos just to talk out of my ass, right? Like, obviously, I like interacting with you guys, and I want to see you guys I want to see some tangible results. So comment down below what you're doing currently to transition or to put yourself in a position to be able to attain financial freedom a lot sooner, right? So anyways, that's it. That's all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. And as always, I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.